Chopsy-doo! I'm liking this space. I really got to my...
Hello and welcome to Swift Conversations. I'm your host, Adesope Olajide, and joining me on the sofa to have an in-depth conversation about culture, legacy, and Afropop culture is a true icon of our culture, a renowned DJ, media, broadcaster, an award-winning personality who's also, of course, a DJ, but most importantly, an Afropop culture ambassador. Is none other than a legend, Abass Tijani, aka DJ Abass.
Let me clap for myself.
How did you like that intro?
Doo-doo.
How did you like that intro?
It is you now. That's how you bribe all of them with those intros. Your intros are legendary.
Listen,
but thank you so much.
I think introducing you, I touched on a few points there, but sometimes I like to also ask the guest, like going through that introduction and the high points that I mentioned, how would you introduce yourself? What would you say was, or who would you say DJ Abass is?
Well, DJ Abass, first and foremost, is DJ Abass.
Yes.
Because that was my entry into not just the entertainment space, but the culture space, invariably. Music was something that was, I'm sure you've heard this all the time, it's part of the family. My mom loved music, my dad loved music. And then in university back in Nigeria, you know, I was like the campus DJ. There's a party happening. Back in the day, we just recorded tapes. So I'll go to my DJs in Lagos and say, look, I want this, just record it this way. And I take it to campus. And any party, like you have to call me. And that's where the DJing, the music thing started. And then finished university in 89. Before then, I was contributing to The Guardian in Nigeria. So I was basically sending in crossword puzzles.
Wow.
I was actually sending word search and crossword puzzles. And I'll send something enough for a month. And then I started contributing to an entertainment page called Hotspots, which covered nightlife in Lagos. Nightclubs in Lagos. I had access. I was 19 when I started going to nightclubs in Lagos.
You were allowed in clubs
19.
in Nigeria? Your parents
it's
let
legal.
you go?
They didn't know. Because I was staying with my brother at that point. So once I'm not in university, I was with my brother. And I just go out and was going to work now. So going to the newsroom, Friday night, I'm touching all the clubs, Peak Nightclub, Night Shift, Roots in Ikeja.
Wow.
The entire Ikeja.
Allen Avenue.
If you look at, Allen was still up. Allen was not really buzzing that time. It was Obafemi Awolowo away. You had the Roof Nightclub, you have Class John Chukwu, you had, and then you move it towards Allen, you had John Chukwu and what's his name, Jerry's Place, Ozone, That's on the mainland. Wow. In fact, the mainland was it.
The mainland.
The island came in much later.
It
was the mainland all the way up to Night Shift to mainland, and then you go to Surulere, you had Peak Nightclub. And if you look at all your Davidos of today, back then you had your Mike Okris, Alexo. Those were the names at the time. Majek Fashek.
Junior and Pretty.
I had access to all those guys through media, just meeting them and reporting on what's happening in nightclubs. So then I knew this was it for me. This was my thing, I just knew at that point this was my thing. But then also at the point I finished university, now started full time with The Guardian, and I would never describe myself as Jackpa because
you were born here.
We did not Jackpa. I was born here.
Yes.
We did not Jackpa, but then it became a trend. A lot of our friends, but then just like, where's my Bagbaja? He's gone to America. This one's gone to UK, and I just thought, hey. Let's check out London, And coming into London, the lowest hanging fruit for me was DJing. We were few and far between. We're doing house parties. London Sweet that time. Yeah.
What was it like in those early times when you came back to London, especially in the Afro scene?
It existed, but there was a lot more of the meetups in houses. So whatever you wanted to do was going to be in your house, even if you're going to have 200 people.
Well, you have to be in the house.
Trust me. So house parties were it, and they would go until morning, and the neighbors would
complain.
They would have issues with whoever it was, and it got to a point, I think the councils just started now stepping up. And that now moved the most of those parties from houses into community halls, community centers, and the Southeast was the HQ.
Yeah.
No,
Peckham, Lewisham,
Camberwell, all that zone. There were some popular halls, Penat Center.
So every African community had a family member in South London.
No, yes, but the Niger community,
yes,
for every 5 Africans, it's most likely you're seeing 3 Nigerians, and we had the numbers and we have the ginger, so 3 Nigerians in one place, you think like there are 30 of them, things were happening. South London was buzzing. That was really the first hub for Nigerians back in the 90s. So when you think of all the artists that used to come back then, now today we talk about the Indigo, we talk about the O2
Arena, events in Apollo.
Then it was a Lion Center, basketball courts, just find space.
Any space.
Just find a space, And Ayo was on the show, on your show.
Yes.
And I saw he was playing some, gone his R70 page. He just posted something with Barrister.
That's Ayo Shonaya, the documentary maker.
Filmmaker,
yeah.
And he posted something with Barrister.
Yes, the Nigerian Fuji singer.
Great content, clear, but it was in a basketball court. Then.
In London.
In London. So people will come and just stay around the side and then it starts to fill up. That was the trend at the time, and those were our first show, which was 2003, was at the Ocean venue in Hackney. The Ocean then is the equivalent of our O2.
O2 now. I wanted to take you back a little bit. So when you came back into the UK, before you got to that Ocean's venue, of course you were DJing at parties independently, but what was that flash, that light bulb moment that said, let's take it a little bit bigger. Let's start doing events that probably included musicians?
So in 2000, I met my good friend Ayo Shonaya, business partner, and at the time, Ayo was curating stuff by filming alongside his good friend our good friend Tim Adegbite, and they'll just go around and film stuff. And then we partnered with Obalende Suya, who at the time was at the Nigerian corner at the Notting Hill Carnival on Cambridge Gardens. And at the time, come Carnival, Notting Hill Carnival time, we just make our way to Cambridge Gardens. He had a little ghetto blaster somewhere and he would sell suya. And at some point, he just thought, you know what, let's
scale up.
And then got in the proper DJ, put up speakers, and Ayo would film it. You get it, And then at some point, in 2003, Alistair Shoyode of Ben TV invited Ayo to come and start making content.
Which is Ben Television was the first ethnic diversity channel in Europe.
In Europe, on Sky TV.
On Sky Television.
So that was a
breakthrough.
A massive breakthrough, because that was the Instagram of the time. That was the Facebook of the time. The first social media platform I joined was one called High Five. Did you have an account?
Come on. You have to.
Was High Five. That was the Facebook of the time. And then MySpace came.
Yep.
And then, it's shout out to the plug. He actually set up my first
account.
MySpace account and called me and just gave me all the details. So when Ben TV came, what made my partnership with Ayo work well? He was the guy filming, and now we're on TV. Intro. We have a friend at the time, Rashid Shobande, who'd come into my venues and just say intro, And Ayo said, let's do intro with DJ Abass. No, he said, let's do intro. I said, okay, we need to look for a presenter. He said, I found one. I said, who? He said, you. I said, me. Never been on TV. And I said, don't worry, you'll be fine. And then it wasn't live. We used to record it.
Yep.
We did the first episode. And the plan from the get-go was just to showcase African music, African pop music on Sky TV. That was the plan, And I'd go to some African stores, buy tapes.
Yep.
They used to sell VHS tapes then, and we convert it. I remember we were the first to play Premier Gao on TV in the UK. We were the first.
100%.
Yes, you can quote me.
100%.
And would lift it. And this was the first, the first video they probably did with one camcorder somewhere.
Where it was, when you're watching the visuals, but it's
bear in mind, there was nowhere else people could watch this. So now there's suddenly this African channel, and then we now started playing videos, got the artist. And I just thought, okay, I'm an events person, I'm a promoter. Let's have a concert series. So we started with the intro Summer Jam. Then we did the intro Independence Jam.
I was there.
And then we do the intro Christmas Jam.
Yep.
So now we had a concert series of a TV show. Our numbers, and then we took it to Europe. We did Rome, we did Dublin, and it just started. And now I was now a DJ with a face.
Absolutely.
And that did a whole lot for me.
So for me, being an audience member, turning on the television in London in 2003, and here's a Friday night, boom, I was just scrolling through, someone texted me, there's a channel, Nigerian channel, I went on it, and I see you presenting with Nigerian music videos. So what that did for me was, number one, it's now possible with my thick Nigerian accent to be on TV. Number two, I have a place to see African pop music videos. Prema Gawu.
We played it all. We played them all.
So it instantly opened my eyes to possibilities that I didn't think existed.
It was unbelievable. And I knew very, very quickly at the time that this thing was massive, because now we're on Sky. Now I'm getting audiences that typically I would not have access to because we were on Sky. And what we were doing was selling undiluted, unadulterated Nigerian entertainment. We know they speak phone.
Yep.
You get it,
100%.
We do us. Comfortable going there. We are by that times where the fashion. So we're selling 360. So the fashion was rolling with it. We're doing the food as well.
Yep.
And we're comfortable doing it. And as many don't like to say it, that was a time some Africans were not cool with being African.
Yeah.
It was just a fact. But like anything else in this world, just give it a bit of a shine and a buff and put it out there and let people be comfortable with it. And it takes off, So that period was so important in the Africanization of the next generation. Because, I'm seeing guys sitting here right now.
Yes.
Some speak with English accents, but chances are they probably come from an African home.
100%.
Do you get it?
Yeah, there are a few brothers around here.
So they're not seeing anything that's new, or they're seeing it at home.
Yes.
But maybe at the time, there were people who were not comfortable to also express that, even in their names.
Yes.
But then you can now turn on the TV and see some Niger boys or African guys just doing stuff. And we're very specific about it, in terms of who we wanted to put on. So that period, that era, 2003, was a massive break in the UK.
Absolutely.
And the music, it started with the music, and we knew this thing was just definitely was gonna take off. And now we're doing events, we're out there. Now I'll go into Sainsbury's. The Ghanaian can just say, hey, some Ghanaian thought I was Ghanaian, Hey, I'm yeah, blah, 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 blah. Now, so,
Because all they saw was an African face with an African accent on
media,
an African
and
channel.
then what we now intentionally did as well, just to carry everybody along, I'd go on a calendar, just started looking for every country's independence dates. So I know March 6 or March 7, that's Ghana. I bring in my Ghanaian massive. Shout out to Paul Akwaba. Shout out to Dennis.
Yes.
These are the guys running it. Then Zimbabwe independence is coming. I call Tafi, I call Tao, I call Lloyd Musara, and that will be their day on the show. And I know every Zimbabwean is watching on that day. Ghana independence, every Ghanaian is watching on that day. So we're able to drag in Africa, in doing that. So we're very, very intentional.
There's a very important question I'd like to ask, because when you said dragging in Africa, for me, that's also been one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
But of course, with the success of Afrobeats and Afropop music, Nigeria has been a massive voice and has led the way. How were you conscious, even though we were the loudest in the room with the music, how was it for you in making sure that the other African countries, cultures, and music felt included in this story?
It's just representation. Once you represent people, trust me, they don't see any of the divides. So, and don't forget I was a DJ. So I know what was happening out there in the clubs. So Gaou broke in 1999. Arguably one of the biggest hits to come out of Africa.
Of all time.
Without
Top
that,
three.
My top three would be, in no particular order, Sweet Mother, Gaou, and I don't even know what to put in three because now it's massive, But those two, massive.
So Sweet Mother, without doubt, is in the top 40 highest selling records of all time. So in terms of statistics, it trumps everybody. Gaou in terms of the culture. And of course, Nigerians will always want to hang on to African Queen. But there's also a record, I think, is Awilo Logomba.
Gatla coin. So it's Awilo as an entity.
Yes.
We'll come to Awilo. Awilo as an entity. Because when Awilo came, because all his videos then also, it was one of the VHS tapes we got as well. Porokondo, Gatla coin, all those classics. And we just basically rip them off and play them. The irony at the time I knew was like, in Congo, Awilo was not in the top 5.
Yeah.
Because you had like guys like Kofi Olomide, Papa Wemba, Wera Song, and all of them came out of Wenge Musica, that group, But Awilo found love in Nigeria.
He became an African pop star.
He found love in Nigeria. Awilo was selling out
stadiums
in Nigeria.
Yes.
To get it. So would play Awilo. So because I was a DJ, I knew what was popping in the clubs. And I made sure, and I know every country has one hit somewhere. So I would normally reach out to all my Zambian friends and say, find me a video. And it's okay, I'm going to Lusaka next month. When I'm coming back, I'll bring some. Some did that. When they come back, they just come with VHS tapes. And I'll just lift it and I'll drop it in there. And the next week somebody calls and say, you played this guy last week. Oh, thank you so much. Oh. So it was a no-brainer because it had to be Africa. Really. It had to be Africa. Now, of course, it's not the whole 54 countries in Africa. But the fact remains that in the UK, certain African countries actually have strong foothold in the UK. So clearly Congo, a lot of the English-speaking countries, and you have Senegal, then you have the Ivory Coast. So, and they have hubs where they hang out. You get it? They have hubs where they hang out. So the moment you represent them, they follow. So when you look at that upward trajectory, that growth of Afrobeats, you really cannot narrow it down to one thing because at every point in time, those numbers were building. And then what happened was the next generation, our children just
took it to the next level.
They were the ones that now let it go in.
The teeny bopper era.
And so it was intentional. It was not by error. We had to carry Africa. And of course, as content people, the more the merrier. So we had to do that.
Now, your story is a very unique one because it obviously started with music and a little bit of journalism.
Yeah.
But after a while, when we got into the 2010 era, when Afrobeats was just starting to get into mainstream here, Wizkid, the band, P-Square, then you also opened the doors to Nollywood.
So that was another intentional thing. Nollywood, second largest film network in the world for volume after Bollywood. I remember my first trip to New York, and I went to Queens, and I walked into this Jamaican store to buy patty, and they were watching Nollywood there. Trust me, and that was the first one. And then I went to another store. Everybody was watching Nollywood, VHS, and VCD, and that was the first time outside of the UK I saw that. Now, Fast forward to 2007, Hexcentric, Ni Olawi,
Yep.
made his first film, and he decided he wanted to have a premiere. So he booked the Odeon Cinema in Surrey Keys, and he had it then. And I remember having the conversation then with Kenen Baru, who later went on to set up Film One in Nigeria. And then Kenen Baru alongside Moses Babatope, who now runs Nile Entertainment, who was also formerly of Film One. And they said, look, how can we start to bring Nollywood to cinemas? They were at Odeon, and Odeon, you bring any film in there, you're watching film at the highest possible quality level. Quality-wise. So, and this is where the story gets interesting, because at the time, so we want to start to showcase Nollywood films in cinemas now. So, but my side was, it's not just enough to tell them to come and watch films. We need to add a bit of pizzazz to it. Hence the red carpet. So 80% of people that come out to watch films are women, So create the red carpet,
dress up,
throw in the buzz, let them have the look, watch the film, and then throw in a banging after party after. And that was the formula. So now we just had to go and get the films. And then we started, in that period, we did Obi Omeloyen's
Figurine
for Kula for Lion, Obi Omeloyen, Mirror Boy, we actually had at Empire Cinema. That's a 1,300 capacity in the West End. But the Odeon Greenwich, that is the mecca of Nollywood.
Nollywood film premiere.
I've lost count. Premieres and releases.
Yes.
And at the time, there were the first the content would normally come initially. We never did VHS, so let me put your mind address there. But it started with we'll do DVDs.
Yep.
At times it will kind of like hang midway into the screen.
I have been in those.
And we have to go to the back
to go
and look for another one.
To go and slap the
or VCD. And then at some point we went into Blu-ray.
Yep.
Slightly better
quality.
And then we started doing hard drives, and then we started doing DCP, which is the proper format.
This is the cultural question for you. The music carried the rhythm.
Yes.
Carried the sound.
Yes.
Carried the individual identities of different African countries and tribes. What do you think the movies did for African pop culture?
The visuals.
And what specifically would you identify in those?
It's the visuals. What are we doing here? We're telling stories. Now we're in the era of storytelling, podcasts. But what makes up your culture? Is your stories through film or platforms like this? It's your food. It's your fashion, your language. All these elements is what drives the movement. Nothing exists in isolation. So with the film, you sit down there, you see the visuals, the stories, the fashion is in there somewhere, the food is in there somewhere, the music is being carried. And love it or hate it, Nollywood just has connected with some people. And we started those premieres then. It started with premieres. The first release was actually Mirror Boy, and it screened in 12 cinemas across the UK. We didn't do it alone. Shout out to stations like Ben TV.
Yep.
Shout out to High TV.
Yep.
Shout out to OATV, because they also gave us the platform to amplify a lot of those things. But it just took off. It took off big time now. Today, really, Nollywood stands as the biggest platform in the diaspora that has been exposing African films.
You mentioned Ben Television, OHTV, High TV. These were
Passion TV,
OBE TV. These were television stations in the UK
on Sky TV
that were promoting African
Nollywood movies,
African pop culture. At the time when we had this array of television stations, that in some cases were speaking directly to different nationalities. OBE was Ghana, Passion Television, all these things. What do you think that era of broadcasting into British homes and African homes here in the UK. What do you think that era, did for where we are today with the music?
Amplification through visibility. They could see us. Media. I'm a media person. The only way you drive your narrative is if people can hear you. And that was what that era did. I call it the golden era of African media in this country. I made it a point to count how many African-owned stations are on Sky, and they all had eyeballs. You have the gospel channels as well.
Yep.
Running. So it gave us visibility. Through visibility, acceptance comes. It's when they see you, they get to know a bit more about you, and then that's how you also set trends. There was a weekend in New York where Nigerian restaurants were bombarded for pounded yam and egusi.
TikTok.
Sometime 2 years ago, about 2 years ago.
TikTok.
It started with one post. Restaurants in America were running out of pounded yam and egusi. It's visibility. That's the power of media. If you don't, before then, we had and this was the challenge with all the mainstream stations, because they had control, and then you walk into, without mentioning names, you walk into some of these platforms and you're trying to tell them, I do this in East Africa. And they say, well, the way it is like, we're going to have to pass this through, the team, and we have to look at it, but now we can tell our own stories. And the greatest mistake we could make was not carry everybody along. That would have been a terrible mistake to make. So made it open to everybody, at least intentionally, particularly African to start with. Let people see us. All this acceptance you now see for African culture started through platforms that were disseminating our content. Visibility is everything. And which is why when people say, oh, Nollywood, all those Nollywood films on YouTube, I say, no, let them be.
They have their
job. Let them be. They have their numbers. Those guys are clocking 5-10 million. Let them be. I have a problem with gatekeeping.
Talk to me about that.
I have a big problem because gatekeeping at times puts you in a situation where you want to make these decisions for the multitude. But really, it's very, very difficult to know. If that was the case, if people could fashion that out, nobody saw the likes of TikTok where people have random content.
Yep.
And some will say, oh, those guys are crazy. I say, people are watching them.
People are watching.
It's eyeballs. It's eyeballs. So what the likes of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, social media has done, because what social media did was blast open the door. And now, you and I as a people, we are reaping from it. Go to Korea. Do you know there are Afrobeats artists in Korea?
Absolutely.
South Korea.
Absolutely.
There are Afrobeat artists in China.
When you're talking about gatekeeping, something flashed in my mind, which is quality control. But once that popped up in my mind, something else popped up, which is, obviously,
what is quality control?
Just making sure that the quality of whatever is being produced is at a certain standard.
Which standard?
Quality.
This team, okay, see, and this is the problem. Now, I'm looking at the setup here.
Yes.
This setup here would work for any platform in the world.
Absolutely.
Quality, like you say. But I could pick this up as well.
And that could work too.
And get 20 times the numbers.
100%.
Do you get it? So, while quality is great, and I take that on board, first, not a majority can get access to that quality. And they have a story to tell.
100%.
Everybody has a story to tell. And you don't know which story
it's
will
going
resonate.
To connect.
You don't. That is one thing I can. If everybody knew the story that will resonate, I'll be an Afrobeat superstar today. Because all I need to do is go to the studio, do the song, and put it out. Burna Boy cannot tell you if they give him an album layout of 16 songs of his songs. He cannot tell you which one will blow.
100%.
No artist, nobody just knows. So the only thing is just give them the opportunity to put it out.
Showcase. And then let's watch how people respond.
And that is what I think our culture, more than anything else, has enjoyed. On especially platforms where you can express yourself, put it out there. Of course, there's certain things that shouldn't be allowed, and we leave that to the platforms to regulate and manage that. But let everybody tell their story.
Speaking about storytelling, of course, we've talked about, the inception of the late 90s and 2000s with Afrobeats, and then the explosion in 2010. Once success comes, particularly in diaspora, and people are selling records globally and stuff, it also, in some cases, can affect and alter creativity in where people are trying to target the ears of the diaspora market, the sounds of the international sounds. Now, looking at the progression from, what Fela did to the 80s, where you had your Junior and Pretty and all these guys, and then the blend of the Fuji. And how have you seen the differences? One, that would be one question. And second of all, how do you see where the sound is now? What are your thoughts about what we are now calling Afrobeat or Afropop now, coming from the origins of what Ifela created and all the different mixtures that has taken place in between?
Music is dynamic. Even what we call, remember, Afrobeats was a term of convenience. Really.
Break it down.
Technically, Afrobeats is not a genre. Afrobeats was a term that emerged in the UK to represent African pop sound coming from Africa. There was a need for it. Before then, there was no umbrella term. I remember my first, what I now call the first Afrobeats mixtape, was in 2000. But I just picked a lot of those pop songs, put 18 songs on a mixtape, and I put it out. And that was in 2000. And there was nothing like that at the time, because most just it wasn't recording African, trust me, because even when you go into the clubs, the club owner will just tell you, once you start to play
you play too African, we're firing you.
Because play R&B, drop R&B or hip hop, drop it in, because that one is like, what is it you're playing? And mostly at the time, really, it was actually more the first sound that broke the clubs then were the East African sound, the East African sounds, the Congolese sounds.
Congolese, yeah.
Those were the sounds that we used to really
absolutely
play.
Awilo, Kofi Olomide.
Awilo, Papa Wemba, Kofi Olomide. Those were the ones, because their ladies will come out and ask for it. Yes. And once they know that you play it, forget it, they'll come to your place. Jimmy, the bald-headed guy, I would give him credit for this.
That's a legend of mine.
He would, drop it. In fact, Jimmy was an MC who decided to start to DJ. And then he would come to our clubs and says, just give me 10 minutes. Jimmy was our starter, and he would start to play African music. And at some point, the club owner will come and say, oh yeah,
it's time to hip hop.
Those guys are feeling one kind, But he played it unapologetically, and then we imbibed it, and then kind of like expanded it. And but then it would just look like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. On Independence Day, maybe we'll stretch it to like 30 minutes. Do you get it? But then the hits now started coming out from the late 90s into the early, and we had the key hits. Shakomo came from Nigeria, 2005, Two-Face was doing his thing.
Yeah.
Because as a DJ, you really need to have a heavy bank of songs before you can run a full session.
Yep.
But then they were coming in drips and dabs at the time. But it got to a point that when Yauze, I remember Olumintin coming, I was in Nigeria and just came 2006 December.
Bluetooth.
No, 2007 January.
Yep.
I was in Nigeria. And he came and said, Egbon, this song is blowing in Ibadan, Yauze.
Yeah.
And then back then, when a song is a hit in Africa, it would normally take 6 months for it to start to blow.
Because it has to physically travel into the UK.
6 months and 2 years in America. America was the final frontier. Everything in America was late. Shout out to social media.
Yes.
A hit song in Lagos today
becomes a hit song today.
Globally. But back then, it was because it was CD. And I would come here and then I would play it. I would first have first bites. Yeah. I would do first and DJ
What's this song?
And see how long. So if we wanted to promote an act, like at the time we brought Maintain, and we bought Idris,
Yep.
and they had been stars for like 3 years before we could bring them.
Yep.
Do you get it? We brought them in 2003, but they broke in 1999.
Yeah, when I was in uni in the 90s.
But now everything has changed. Media, communication is fast, it's quick. So, what was the second
You
one?
said
wanted
the
me to link to?
dynamic. You said the music is not dynamic
music
in
is-
terms of the
It
sound
changes.
where we are now.
Trust me. Go and listen to all the classic sounds. Now, if you listen to Afro beats right now, 6 or 5 out of 10, you hear a bit of amapiano in it. With the drums, you hear it.
the log drums. 100%.
You know, it's there.
Yeah.
You won't miss it, I hear it in a lot of stuff Kiss Daniel does.
Yeah.
Do you get it? And that is the beauty of the creative minds. They would always, it's like you're making a pot of soup.
Add the elements.
So even with food right now, the way they made egusi 10 years ago is different from the way some make it today. They add little elements to it to spice it up. So in terms of the music, it's dynamic. It keeps changing. It would always change.
So now, when you're talking about dynamism, I'm still going to pick one or two things, particularly about the music, sound, culture, and just African culture. But I wanted to go into the third phase of DJ Abass, which is African food. Now, you've taken that to a completely different level.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the African food culture.
The easiest way to get into any network is food. Any network. Some people say the way to a man's heart,
It's
and
through his stomach.
wives, it's through his stomach.
100%.
You know,
She can't cook.
but no.
We ain't having it. You know what I mean?
But food has that power.
Yeah.
You get it. So I'm a foodie, and I eat mostly Nigerian food. It's healthier. No argument there.
You say?
Oh yeah, it's healthier.
Okay.
Trust me, it's organic stuff.
Okay.
Because I still cut the yam. I eat it in its natural state. Do you get it? So I know what I'm eating.
Yeah. It hasn't
The
been.
gari, I know where it's coming from. So a lot of our food is and it's actually expensive to eat African food.
Yes.
Very, very expensive to eat African food, compared to any type of food, because you have to bring it in. Because if a person ships in a container of yam, the chances are by the time they go through that sales circle, 30% would have been spoiled. And that costs. So African food is expensive. So I'm a foodie. And for those who follow me on social media, I would normally just post one soup bubbling before it's done, or one asaro here, put stuff like that out. And then during the lockdown, I started watching, because we're all at home, and I started watching a guy called Mark Wins. He's half German, half Thai. And he just goes around the world, tasting food everywhere. And I'll tell my wife, I want to do this. I'd love to do this. But it wasn't going to be convenient for me. So what was the lowest hanging fruit I could do? Start to showcase Nigerian restaurants in the UK. There are over 400 in London.
Wow. Over 400
And that's a
Nigerian.
conservative estimate. There are over 400 in London. Tasty has 27. Inish has about 14. One's a takeaway, one's a restaurant. And they're everywhere. I just thought, okay, let me start to feature these restaurants. And we started with a joint on Old Kent Road. And just walked in. And 15 minutes in, and I just felt, whoa, it looks like people are loving this, And then we did Pitanga, which is Idris Elba's favorite restaurant. And now we're 74 episodes deep, long form, and about 130 short form. We've had a food festival earlier in the month, and we're working on the first directory of Nigerian restaurants in the UK.
Why do you think it's important to have a festival that, of course, showcases and celebrates the food? But more importantly, what role is this now playing in the storytelling?
No, and that's the thing. Festivals are actualizations of the storytelling. So it's one thing for me to show you on screen, but then we'll pick a day in the year. That thing I've been showing you,
Come and taste it.
come and taste it. Our 30 vendors were all sold out by 6:30. And we curated in such a way that everybody we were inviting was doing something unique from the other.
And that's the
So you
sunshine
wanted to assume.
just hitting us at
It's
the
from
perfect
Nigeria.
time.
It's from Nigeria. This sunshine.
Confirms,
We called for it.
you know, that these are African people talking about
Yeah, so,
African stories.
You know, so the food festival, people had to come in, you know, and about 40% of our attendees were actually not Nigerian. They were just fans of the show on YouTube, and they just come in, opportunity to taste. So we had over 200 vendor applications. We could only limit it to 30, but everybody had to come in and do something unique. So we had a suya person, we had an asun person, we had a section for grills, we had a section for the solids and everything. Food is so powerful. And like I said, in telling this story, it's the fashion, it's the movies, the storytelling, it's the music, it's the food, it's the dance, Nigerian comedy, you know. And what I try to do now is, because I've been able to touch on each of those things, every time I do events, I try to make sure all those elements. We just had our Nigeria Day brunch. We had a comedian hosting. We had food, Nolly playing on screen, music, and we had a clothing partner selling. So once you sell the entirety of the culture as a bundle, it's a no-brainer. It's win-win. So the success of Afrobeats, it's not just the music. The success of Nollywood, it's not just the movies. We are selling the sum total. And it's a force that just cannot be stopped.
When you hear conversations now in different pockets that says that some of our pop stars are no longer embodying the African culture as some had done in the past, or a lot had done in the past, what are your thoughts about that school of thoughts?
I'm sure there's a level of truth to it with some. And part of the problem at times as well is the absence of knowledge. I'm very, very unapologetic about certain things. Like, this is me here now.
Yep.
It's a flag I fly. I can do a mainstream designer if I choose to. But what do I gain? I gain nothing. Zero, zilch. And I just see myself as one of the crowd. I went to an event once. I was actually upset at this event. It was an African event in central London, and there were 150 guests. And my wife and I were the only one in African outfit.
Wow.
And they had it at a very, very
high end.
This a motor club by Paul Palmer. Very, very high end. And we walked in, and the foreign media moment was the camera, and I'm like, oh, okay, I seem to like it. When I went inside, I realized that what's happening here? What's happening here? You know? So there's certain things we need to be intentional about. Some of the greatest designers in the world are Nigerians in that Nigeria. In the last 3 years, Nigerian designers have been making a lot of outfits for ladies doing proms in America.
Yeah.
I'm sure you heard that story.
Because of the, everything.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Is the flair. They don't carry the global brand names, but a great outfit is a great outfit.
100%.
If you don't shine light on it, who would know? Now, it has now become a trend. So prom time, they know they have to call 3 months in advance
to get the work started.
You know how they get their measurements? Through video on WhatsApp.
Wow. My
tailor in Nigeria, I've only seen him once. But every now and then when I need to upgrade, it
looks like 1 or 2 inches.
He adds an extra inch every now and then. Through video. Through video. We have to be intentional to make things happen. This Africa that we want to sell, that we are pushing, first you have to be comfortable with it. And you need to see the value in it. So some of our stars that have tasted global success, at times out of lack of knowledge or lack of having people telling them what they should know or being influenced by the wrong people, they stop to tell the narrative that actually propelled them to where they are today. Once you stay true to that, because you would always need your source, it is the source. And once you stay true to that, you'll be fine.
An example, just
And
to
it doesn't stop you from also fraternizing with the mainstream.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop you, but you need to carry both along.
Absolutely. Just to buttress your point about the outfit, the royal family had the Earthshot Prize Awards. So the Queen, the Princess, everybody was there, and Yemi Alade was invited. So I went alongside Yemi with her manager. And on the day we were going there, Yemi had sent a picture of what she was wearing. Obviously, traditional African attire.
She's taking over the event.
She's taking over the event. So I just said, listen, do you know what? I'm going to get, an outfit that matches her manager is a purple Nigerian. When we hit the venue, the entire press turned to us, and instantly everybody started asking, what queen is this?
You're on headlines. You're on the front page.
So she was the front pages of all the newspapers in the UK. Every roundup on CNN, BBC, you see me standing there. She was the color of the entire event.
You must
and
be
it was
willing,
because of that.
You must be willing to carry it. Once you carry it, you'll be fine. Just carry it. And it's a no-brainer. And I tell people that we're going to events. Me, I don't stress myself. I know what I'm going to do. You can have on a 10,000 pound suit on that red carpet. I will knock you. Wallahi. Like that. Because all suits basically look the same, essentially, to get it. So if you want, and we are Africa, we don't do quiet.
Yep.
We don't do reserved. You come out, look the part, leave the rest. But you must be comfortable and ready to fly that flag.
Now, I've got some very important questions, final points that I wanted to put to you. Simple, straightforward, hopefully. First one will be, what does legacy mean to you in the context of Afrobeats and your own journey?
You do what you have to do. And people will work out your legacy. If I'd like to be known for something, I'd like people to just feel that I contributed my bit in the popularization and acceptance of African culture. And I'll be fine. Because I've done it unapologetically. And you have to be comfortable with it.
Absolutely.
We are a special people. First and foremost, you must understand that. We are resilient. We keep pushing. Anywhere we are. Anywhere we go, we excel. It's not a coincidence, And more importantly, this is our time.
Absolutely.
Touch any facet. It's our time. You have to grab it now. Don't let it go. Grab it, push it out. We've done our bit. It's the next generation that are more important now. And thankfully, the next generation now are happy to do a lot of stuff. They're happy with their names. They're happy with their culture. Talk about Detty December.
Mm-hmm.
That's a phenomenon.
Born out of Afrobeats and African entertainment.
The Nigerian government, they've done a gazillion initiatives to bring the diaspora back home.
That never worked.
They are still working on some now. And Detty December emerged organically.
Yeah.
Primarily on the back of the music and then other facets of the culture. Last year, there was an infrastructural deficit because they could not cope with it.
$71 million was made in Lagos State between 1st of December and the end of December.
It's going to be more because
932 million in Ghana in 2023.
So, and Detty December now actually starts in
November.
And it goes on to the 7th of January.
Yeah.
So I always say governments that smell the coffee, just make it happen. Right now it's in Lagos. Detty December can be across the entire Nigeria easily. because I believe your diaspora is your most powerful asset.
It's a Pan-African thing.
Your diaspora is an asset, and you have to milk perhaps the wrong word, but you have to milk what they have, but it has to be a combination of both. So they must be getting something to get it, and you are giving something. So right now, we have that energetic, young numbers coming into Nigeria from the diaspora. Some go, they don't come back, they stay. Some stay and get married.
And start building.
Some see opportunities and they stay. We have to be intentional. See, the way the world is going right now, there's nationalism happening. In those havens we are across the world now, the homegrown people are beginning to have issues. Do you get it? So ultimately, we have to develop our own. We need to develop our space. So back to the legacy thing.
Yeah.
I would just like to hope that the little I have contributed to the popularization of our culture, stands the test of time, and I'll be fine.
Can you share a defining moment that you think shaped your role or voice?
I can't pick a moment. There are too many moments. I cannot pick one. There are too many moments because this thing is a marathon, and there are different points that
high points.
Major. I just told you about 2003 when we were being on Sky was a major for us.
I think that's, for me, that massive. Would be one. That changed.
We got people watching us, and then in the Afrobeat space, or you talk about selling out the O2.
Troxy.
Before the O2, there was Ocean. There was Troxy. There was Hammersmith.
Yeah, events, Polo. Yeah.
And then there was Indigo.
Yeah.
And then we moved to the O2. The O2 looked like something that was impossible. It was impossible to sell.
Yeah.
But then West Ham Stadium.
Yeah.
Tottenham Stadium.
Yeah.
So really, where next?
Wembley Stadium.
Is it the culture? No, Wembley is 90. No, I don't want to break, but it was meant to be Wembley, but there were issues or whatever, But that's just 90, so that's not even a big deal.
Yeah.
Could be Glastonbury.
100%.
Size-wise,
100%.
The culture is growing, and it has now, whether they like it or not, it's been accepted. That is where we are right now.
How do you think Afrobeats or African pop culture at large is being documented or misrepresented globally? How do you think the
misrepresentation is anything that is working? The stories will vary. So if the buzz is out there, I just started with the gentleman at the academy who referred to Amapiano as a subgenre of Afrobeats as a major misrepresentation coming from a major platform. Major. But then we have platforms like this. There are people who are going to watch this and probably learning for the first time about this conversation. So I think documentation is getting better. And once again, shout out to all the platforms that make this possible, or the platforms that go on there. You have to tell your story and you have to document it. That was what was not happening before. But a lot of that is happening now. Ayoshonaya did Afrobeats, the backstory.
The backstory documentary that was on Netflix. Yeah.
Fantastic story, But he told his own story. Do you get it?
Yeah.
There are many stories out there. So make an effort to put it out there. Some came on the back of that and say,
they left this one out.
They left this one. So how many people? You can't speak with everybody. It's a movement. He has done his own bit. Do yours.
Whatever loopholes are there, fill it in.
Put it out there. Shout out to guys like DJ Who Be That.
Yeah.
I'm sure he came to you. That's a DJ trying to tell the story from the DJ's perspective. There are so many perspectives, And also, shout out to our women. Because in the music space, it took a while before our women could perform effectively. Not because they didn't have the talent, but it's so male dominated.
Chauvinistic.
It's harder. So shout out to Tiwa Savage, Yemi Alade. I know what they have to face. It's not easy. And on the back of what they've done, we have the Ira Stars, you have the Thames today. To get it,
Absolutely.
And so shout out to them. I never take them for granted. They did a whole lot of work.
Absolutely. And finally, if you had a toast, if you had to toast to one moment, you've already grabbed your glass anyway.
No, I've been grabbing it from the beginning.
So
And now they have changed the topper, who is even over-topping it up. Kushel.
So if you had to toast to one moment in the journey of Afrobeat so far, what would that be and why?
Okay, let me first talk about different moments.
Yes.
So Burna Boy, Wizkid, won Grammys, right? For
Yeah.
Afrobeats. Great moment.
Yeah.
Not enough. Because I think the Grammys, first and foremost, it's an award system that runs as a business and it's American.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing bits that they want to start an African Grammy. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Because the Grammy is an American award and it exists
As that.
for America. If nominations and awards or categories come from there, great, we'll take it. That's fine. I think when it comes to we need to improve our award systems
In Africa.
from within the continent. That is key.
Yeah.
No external outfit can represent for you like you. Great to get. So let's leave that there. Personally, watching Burna Boy at West Ham Stadium or the Olympic Stadium, that was a nice one for me.
Yeah.
I went with my wife, was in the audience, watched the whole show, a multicultural audience. That is where we are with all the facets of our culture. It's not just no longer a Nigerian or an African thing right now. That was the definition of global in every sense. A mix. And that's what we've always wanted. We just wanted to be
The opportunity.
we wanted to be in the mix. That's it. We just don't want to be, we've got one Nigerian guy, one African. No, we just wanted to be, because we are good enough, if not better, to be in the mix. So that moment for me was a very, very unique moment.
Absolutely.
I was there from beginning
to the end. We were there together. I was sitting in front of you.
I had a great time.
Yeah.
So that moment for me, that was nice. And there's much more to come.
Absolutely. Well, with that toast ends this episode of the Swift Conversation. Toast to a legend, DJ Abass.
You're too kind.
Yes, anyway. Thank you so much.